Good evening, I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory, and we remain on alert through Independence Day weekend, although I will say the worst of the heat is now behind us. That extreme heat warning that we've been under for essentially the entire week finally ended an hour ago as the sun went down here on Friday night. It's still going to be kind of right on the brink of dangerously hot on into Saturday and Sunday, and we still have a chance for some scattered storms to talk about too, but that extreme heat warning has now expired, replaced by a heat advisory. So a heat advisory is kind of a step down from an extreme heat warning. So still going to be hot, maybe even dangerously hot, but not as extreme as the weather we've had for most of this week. The heat wave really hit its peak yesterday. Yesterday was the worst of it, and now we're kind of coming back down out of it as we head into the weekend. Checking in on the comments here. Good afternoon, Laura, Suzanne, Kaylee. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I know 9 o'clock on a Friday night here, especially on July 3rd. A lot of folks are probably out watching fireworks somewhere, so thank you guys for taking the time to join me here. I do want to talk a little bit about the storms we saw today, and then we're going to talk about the storms that we're going to see tomorrow. So earlier this afternoon, I was watching as these thunderstorms developed down closer to Russellville, Bowling Green, kind of close to the Kentucky-Tennessee border, and then they very slowly drifted to the north, and as they did so, we did get severe thunderstorm warnings in Ohio, McLean, and Davis counties, and then we also got a flash flood warning in Ohio County because that storm just kind of sat parked over one area there in western Ohio County and just poured rain for about 30 minutes, and so there was some concern for some flooding there. But then if you watch closely here, as that storm kind of collapsed out, you can actually see this ring, this band from the outflow boundary. Watch it right here. Almost like somebody dropped a balloon, and then you can kind of see it splash out, right? It would be, like a ripple effect here. So as that storm in Kentucky collapsed, we got this outflow boundary that came out from it. Maybe some of you even around that time earlier this evening, if you were outside, would have noticed all of a sudden a big gust of wind, right? Right around 5 o'clock or so, it would have gotten very breezy just for a little bit and then died back down. That was that gust front from that collapsing thunderstorm pushing through the tri-state. Now, as it did so, in some areas, as it pushed out, it then kicked up some new thunderstorms. So as that storm collapsed, we already had one little shower starting to develop in Pike County, and as that outflow boundary hit it, it really kind of kicked it up a notch, and we ended up with an isolated severe thunderstorm there in Pike County as well. Again, not really moving. It popped over Pike County, kind of barely drifted into Gibson County, and then just rained itself out. And that's been the trend we've had all evening long. We also had a thunderstorm pop up over Wayne County. Never made it out of Wayne County. It grew in Wayne County, turned severe in Wayne County, and then collapsed and died in Wayne County. So these storms this evening have been very stagnant. I don't think it'll be quite that bad tomorrow. I think the storms will be moving, but there's a better chance then that everyone will get the rain that we're talking about tomorrow. Right now, those storms have all collapsed and gone away. The severe weather threat is over now. There were some thunderstorms that were also severe down around Paducah area. Those have kind of started to fall apart as they've drifted north. So we've got just a few very light, very spotty rain showers kind of along the I-57 corridor there in Illinois, and then down toward Paducah, Livingston County, places like that. But again, all of this is kind of collapsing now. So any remaining rain still left over in Illinois or in far western Kentucky will taper off within the next hour or two, and we will then be dry, although mostly to partly clear. I still think there will be some clouds overhead even through the overnight hours. Tomorrow morning, this is showing the rain staying just to our east and west, just outside of the tri-state there. I would not rule out a stray shower in the tri-state tomorrow morning, but I don't think it'll be a widespread issue. Most of us will probably stay dry until Saturday afternoon. Now, around midday, we may start to see some of these very isolated showers kind of bubbling up in the heat of the day. It would be very spotty, though. Most of us will stay dry until after 3 p.m. That's when this kind of line of showers and storms starts to push in. So again, different from the storms we saw today, which were almost stagnant. They just kind of blew up and then collapsed back down and never really moved. This is going to be kind of a line of storms pushing in from the west and actually pushing across the tri-state. So they may not last as long, they might kind of blow through, but there's a better chance that everyone will see that rain tomorrow. So this would be mainly after 3 p.m. So the whole first half of the day I think will probably be dry. Then as we get after 3 p.m. we've got scattered rain and some thunderstorms possible, but because these storms are going to blow through, it does seem like they will start to move out of the tri-state right around fireworks time. So I'm not going to guarantee that we'll be dry by fireworks on Saturday. That just feels like I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm not going to guarantee that, but I will tell you that the chance for rain is primarily before 9 p.m. So if you've got, 4th of July parties, maybe pool parties, cookouts, things like that, where people are going to be outside, you do need to know that especially after 3 p.m., closer to 4 or 5 o'clock, up through about 6, 7, and even 8 o'clock. So right there in the evening hours when a lot of folks would maybe be at a cookout, having dinner, things like that, there's a good chance at some point in that window you're going to get some rain, maybe even some thunderstorms. But then by about 9 o'clock, that rain will probably be working its way off to the east, and I think will most likely dry things out just in enough time for those fireworks shows Saturday night. Late Saturday night into Sunday morning, then we see our rain chances picking back up. It'll be more scattered this time around, just a few hit or miss showers very early Sunday morning, and then we kind of get a break from the rain before we've got another kind of scattered chance for some rain Sunday afternoon and evening as well. I know there are some fireworks shows happening Sunday night. Most of them were tonight, or a majority of them are tomorrow, but there are a handful of places like Mount Vernon is doing theirs tomorrow. Some of you may be doing some at home on Sunday if you're going out somewhere on Saturday. So it does seem like if you're doing fireworks Sunday night, there is still maybe a stray shower or two possible, but again, by then the rain will be kind of tapering off. So it does look like we're going to luck out both Saturday and then on Sunday as well. I know Saturday's the big day where there is a chance of rain, but it seems like it'll be pushing out just in time for fireworks. I am concerned about all the outdoor events happening tomorrow afternoon and evening, though. You need to have a backup plan where you can move people inside if there's lightning. We're still technically outlooked for some general thunderstorms tonight, but I really think our thunderstorm threat is over for this evening. The last of those showers are winding down now. Tomorrow, we're kind of right on the cusp of general to isolated severe thunderstorms here, right? So the brown shade there just means general run-of-the-mill thunderstorms. The green shade would be an isolated chance for a severe storm. But we were right on the cusp of this level 1 risk today as well, and we saw 3 severe thunderstorms, one in Kentucky, one in Indiana, one in Illinois. So even though that level 1 risk is kind of right at the edge of the tri-state, as these storms are pushing through Saturday afternoon and evening, I wouldn't rule out the possibility that we could see a couple of strong to severe storms, although it does look like it'll be mainly just kind of general run-of-the-mill thunderstorms. Then Sunday, the severe weather threat has been pulled. It does seem like any storms we see Sunday, mainly Sunday afternoon, would probably be non-severe, but they may be packing some very heavy rain. We are still outlooked for flooding on Sunday. Anybody who's been outside today can tell you how high the humidity is, right? We have so much moisture in the atmosphere right now. So if these storms can tap into that, they can put down a lot of rain pretty quick, right? There's a lot of moisture to work with. So the main concern with the storm Saturday afternoon and then again on Sunday afternoon, even though the storms Sunday seem weaker, is that both times we could maybe get some flooding. We could see, just a few areas where it rains too hard, too fast, and you end up with some isolated flooding. I don't think it'll be a widespread problem, but just something to be aware of. And then mainly on Saturday, there is this damaging wind threat where we could maybe see some isolated stronger wind gusts that could, maybe, blow some things around, cause some problems for you. I don't think it would be, widespread damaging winds, anything like that. But just something, where you could maybe end up with some, upturned lawn furniture, or maybe a tree branch comes down, something like that. So still not something you would want to be caught outside in, that's for sure. And that's what I really want to drive home My main concern is not that we're going to have some kind of widespread severe weather tomorrow. That's not the case at all. My concern is we're going to have a ton of people outside tomorrow. And basically all day tomorrow, it's either going to be hot or it's going to be storming. And so both of those, you need to be very aware. If you are hosting a 4th of July party, be mindful that this weather could be hazardous to your guests. Everybody needs to be hydrating, hanging out in the shade, using fans, staying cool, and then also have a plan where people can move inside. A, if they get too hot and they need to move into some air conditioning, and then also B, if it thunderstorms Saturday afternoon and evening, which is a very real possibility, you want to be able to get people inside out of that lightning threat. Now, I mentioned the heat. It actually feels really nice out there right now. We've seen a huge improvement as the sun has started to go down. It's still kind of warm and muggy, but as those thunderstorms have been collapsing, they've actually kicked up a bit of a breeze. So it really doesn't feel too bad out there right now. It's currently 81 in Evansville, 76 in Owensboro. That's one of the cooler spots. And like I said, I know there are some fireworks going off across the tri-state right now. Newburgh and Henderson are both doing their shows tonight. They're doing some fireworks at Panther Creek Park in Owensboro tonight. Owensboro's big riverfront show is tomorrow, as is Evansville's. So it is kind of warm and muggy out there now, but there is a bit of a breeze, which is helping. I do expect that breeze to die down overnight, so it'll get kind of sticky feeling out there again. Our temperatures will eventually bottom out in the mid-70s by early tomorrow morning. I wouldn't rule out a little patchy fog. That's been the case for the past few nights here. It's been just so humid that as our temperatures drop into the 70s, with dew points already in the 70s, you end up saturated and get a little fog. So that may be the case again tomorrow morning. Again, I wouldn't rule out a stray shower tomorrow morning, but I think most of us will stay dry until the afternoon. Once the sun rises tomorrow, it's going to start to heat up pretty fast. I mean, look at this. We're talking mid-80s already by 10 a.m. A lot of folks will kind of get their day started closer to lunchtime. That's when a lot of the parties will get going. Folks will be cooking out, hitting the grill, right? It's already going to be hot and humid by then. It'll be partly cloudy, temperatures upper 80s, maybe even approaching 90 already by lunchtime. So it's going to get, kind of hot and sticky out there pretty quickly. In the afternoon, that'll be, the hottest part of the day. Our temperatures will climb into the low to mid 90s again. Heat index well into the triple digits, could get as high as 102 to even 108 in some locations tomorrow afternoon. I think that would be the maximum. Most of us will probably fall a little below that, but it won't be as hot as the rest of this week has been, but it could still be dangerously hot if you're not hydrating and making sure you do what you can to stay cool. Then as we go through the afternoon, that's when those scattered storm chances start to ramp up, is later Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, but it does seem like those storms are going to roll through and then roll out by about firework time. So as those fireworks are getting started tomorrow evening, there's still a very isolated chance of rain, but I think we'll be drying things out by then. It will be warm and muggy again, with temperatures sitting in the low to mid 80s as those fireworks are getting started. So all in all, we've had worse Independence Days. We've had better. I wish we could get rid of those storm chances and the heat advisory, but this is what we're stuck with this year. I do want to mention the heat index again. Again, most of us probably won't get all the way up to 108 tomorrow, but the hottest spot in the tri-state might. Where exactly that will be, I don't know. So it could be you. Everybody, though, will be up over 100 for your heat index tomorrow afternoon. Sunday, we're kind of right at the cusp of dangerously hot with a peak heat index around 100 to 105 at its highest. 105 is the breakover point, by the way, for that danger zone, which we've been in every afternoon all week long. This is where you have this really elevated risk of heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And heat stroke, by the way, can and often is fatal. So you don't want to mess around with that. By Sunday, we're going to be kind of coming down out of that danger zone, and then you saw there by Monday and Tuesday, it's still going to be hot, but it's going to be more of just like a typical July heat, right? Highs in the upper 80s, and that heat index probably falling somewhere in the 90s, depending on the exact humidity that day. So that's how our weekend is shaping out. Again, tomorrow, it's a big one, 250, right? Independence Day, tons of celebrations, but be aware it is going to be very, very hot until it starts storming. Then you have to worry about the storms. It looks like both of those, though, will probably come to an end as the sun sets. So hopefully by firework time, it'll still be warm, but it won't be dangerously hot anymore. And hopefully by then the storms will be gone too. But any plans earlier in the day on Saturday, be prepared for both heat and storms. Then on Sunday, both of those go down a little bit. It's still going to be hot, but it's not going to be as hot. There's still a chance of storms, but not as widespread and less of a chance that they would be severe. So we're kind of trending down then as we get into Sunday. And by next week, it's more typical July weather. Monday, there's still a chance of a few scattered storms. By Tuesday and Wednesday, I think we'll be mostly dry, but as is often the case this time of year, I think in the heat of the day, you could maybe still get an isolated shower that just kind of bubbles up in the afternoon. Then we see better chances for rain as we get toward the end of the week, Thursday into Friday. Friday right now looks like our best chance of rain next week. And again, it'll be hot, it'll be humid, but it's July. It's supposed to be hot and humid. We're going to just break free of this oppressive and dangerous heat and humidity that we've been dealing with this week and get more into what summertime should feel like, which is still kind of sticky and uncomfortable in this part of the country, but a major improvement on this past week. All right, checking in on the comments here. Good evening, Cheyenne. Bill says it feels great there in Boonville at Scales Lake. Yeah, that breeze came through and it really felt fantastic there. Karen's asking about Morganfield. Morganfield should be in the clear for the rest of tonight. Tomorrow there is that chance of thunderstorms along with everybody else, though, as we get into the afternoon and evening. Anytime after 3 p.m. up until about 7 or 8 p.m. in Morganfield, you need to be prepared that you could maybe have some thunderstorms. Yeah, Jeff Miller says, had that outflow boundary I was talking about where that thunderstorm in Kentucky collapsed and you could see the ripple effect through there. He says when that outflow boundary went through, the temperature dropped 10 degrees. Yeah, it really had a huge impact. So sorry for those of you in Davis, McLean, or Ohio counties that got stuck under that thunderstorm. I know it was pouring, there was a lot of lightning, but when that thunderstorm finally collapsed, it really cooled off the whole region there. It felt much better. Good evening, Laura, Sargent, Jeanette, Joyce. Joyce says it feels nice and cool in Dixon. Good evening, Lenny. Tina from Madisonville. Stephanie from Hawesville. Jeanette says it feels great in Poseyville. Yeah, it's really much nicer out there tonight compared to what it was just a few hours ago this afternoon. Lenny wishing everyone a good 250th. Yeah, John, maybe your AC will finally stop running nonstop sometime early next week. Maybe. But even at night, our lows are still pretty warm through next week. You know, we don't really have like a nice, cool, refreshing night. We're only going to get down into the upper 60s to low 70s. But, you know, summertime in the tri-state, that's about as good as you can really expect it to get. You're welcome, Brian. Laura and Lynn in Union County there. Yes, Laura saying have a blessed 4th of July tomorrow, wishing that for everyone. I'm not seeing any other questions in the comments. So again, tomorrow we've got the heat. It'll start early, much like it has this entire week. As soon as the sun gets up, it'll start to feel kind of hot and sticky. Mainly after 3 p.m. is where we've got that chance of thunderstorms. And then it looks like those storms are going to be with us until about 8 or 9 p.m. So that rain it's going to be close. That rain will be moving out just as the fireworks are going to be getting started. So you may or may not have to wait for the rain to clear depending on your location. Farther east you are, better chance you have that you're still going to be dealing with some rain at fireworks time, but it should be moving out by then. So things will be improving. And then Sunday, still kind of hot and sticky. We've still got that chance of a few thunderstorms. Less of a chance that any of them would be severe on Sunday, though. We could see some strong winds and maybe even a little hail on Saturday. Sunday, it would mainly just be a heavy rain threat. I think it'll be a little more like today, where those thunderstorms may not be moving very fast, so they could put down some heavy rain kind of over one location for a while, and that's where you end up with some flooding. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'll have your forecast on 14 News tonight at 10, and I drew the short straw, so I'm working the holiday too. So I'll have your forecast again for you tomorrow, and so I hope you'll join me then. But I understand if you've got other plans, I hope everybody gets out and enjoys America's 250th birthday. But again, be mindful of the weather. I know I've been harping on it, but hey folks, that's my job. be aware, it is going to be hot. Not as hot as it was earlier in the week, but it can still be dangerous if you're not staying cool and staying hydrated. So be very mindful of that. A lot of folks are probably going to be drinking alcoholic beverages tomorrow. I understand you're celebrating. Get some water in too, right? Alcohol does not hydrate you, so you need to be drinking water. And then again, especially if you're someone who is hosting and responsible for people's safety, make sure you have somewhere where people can go and move indoors if it does start to thunderstorm, especially if it's a pool party. We don't want anybody in the water if there's lightning around, right? So if you hear thunder, stop what you're doing, get everybody out of the pool, move indoors. There's a little rhyme we use: when thunder roars, go indoors. If you are close enough to hear the thunder, you are also close enough to get struck by the lightning. Don't wait till it starts raining. As soon as you hear thunder, pack it up, move inside. You can come back out after the storm passes, okay? And with that, I'll get off my soapbox and let you get on with the rest of your night. Everybody stay cool, stay hydrated, watch the radar, watch the skies tomorrow. Don't get caught under a surprise thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon. And everybody have a wonderful 4th of July and a happy 250th.